Why do small businesses, or any business, need a health and safety management system? What the hell is a health and safety policy? Today we're going to find out in this video. Let's go. What's up, peeps? Welcome back to Rebranding Safety. Rebranding Safety is the YouTube channel trying to change perceptions of health and safety, and we're doing that by trying to make it worthwhile, something that contributes to your business, your organization. We are making health and safety good for business. Today we're going to talk all about health and safety management systems and the health and safety policy. All of these things you've heard before, but you're not quite sure what it's for, how it works, how you can make it contribute to your organization. Today we're going to get into all of that. Before we do that, just a quick shout out to Fluent Consulting. Fluent Consulting is the health and safety consultant business that sits behind Rebranding Safety. We work with small, medium-sized businesses to become their partner, a solutions-orientated health and safety consultant. We're not the ones that just turn up, audit you, and create more shit lists. We're ones that turn up, partner with you, help you solve problems. Our next sponsor is Risk Assessor Pro. Risk Assessor Pro is the software designed to make risk assessments, method statements, procedures, whatever you want to call them, easy and quick without compromising the quality. We are just about to launch, by the end of 2025, a new version of Risk Assessor. It is modern, it is sexy. It's got dashboards, the user experience, the UX as they call it in the bro game, is bang up to speed with all of our competitors now. Check us out at riskassessorpro.net. If you want to check out RiskFluent, it's riskfluentltd.com, or you can always email me, James at riskfluentltd.com, and I'll help you out with either of those. Let's jump into the video. So, health and safety management system. What is it? Well, a health and safety management system is the collective term actually for your policy and arrangements. What the hell is a policy and arrangements? Well, actually, there's lots of confusion around this. Essentially, what you're required to do is set out your intention as an organization to manage the risk. You do that in a policy, essentially. The policy has a statement of intent, which shows, or at least state, how the business intends to fulfill their policy. The statement of intent will then follow on to something that we tend to call the organizational context. It's the information about the organization. This could be, if you're not got 45001 or any of the ISO accreditations, this could be as simple as roles and responsibilities and document control and legal and compliance tracking and things like that. Often they're called policies as well: document control policy, legal compliance policy, but sometimes the whole thing is called a policy. So you can get really confused, and I understand why. Then you have arrangement. Now these arrangements are the arrangements that you're making to manage risk, like asbestos or legionnaires or noise or dust. Those can also be called policies, and this gets really messy. So here's our way to break this down. Notice we haven't even mentioned management system yet, really. We'll come on to that in a moment. Essentially, you have a policy. A policy is something that sets out your intention on how you are going to manage something. Your intention to manage something. The statement of intent is a legal term, and that's something you are required to do. And that's your policy statement. That's the one that you print out and you put on your ceiling, and it says, the most senior person has stated out your overall health and safety obligations, your duties, right? That's your policy statement of intent. There's nothing wrong with calling everything else a policy as well. I have no problem with that. HR policy, quality policy, young person policy, asbestos policy, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. As long as the policy statement of intent is done and it's there and it's on the wall, then perfect. Ultimately, some people put all this in one document and they call it the full policy. We do that because if you're working with accreditations, it's much easier to upload stuff. But ultimately, a policy is a document that sets out your intention to do something. But a policy statement of intent, the health and safety statement of intent is a legal document. It's a one-pager that says how you intend to manage your health and safety duties. So what's a management system then? A management system is essentially the bits that file and organize the arrangements. What the hell is the arrangements? We've kind of touched on it, but the arrangements is the things you put in place to manage a risk. Your risk assessments, your method statements, your standard operating procedures, whatever you want to call them, your checks and inspections and PPE and all of that stuff. All of those are arrangements, your registers and matrix and all of that stuff. And they're all held and collected and saved into a management system. So how do we simplify this down? A company requires a health and safety statement of intent. That's a one-pager. Imagine that sits at the top of the hierarchy, the top of the tree. And that piece of paper says, I, blah, 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 director of blah, 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 fulfill my legal duties, which are by doing signed most senior person in the organization. Typically, this says something like, MacPherson Construction, always assess the risk and protect the health, safety and welfare of our employees and all other stakeholders. It'll say generic terms like that. You've done that, you've dated it, we tend to review it once a year, you stick it on the wall, you make sure it's communicated to everyone in the organization. Boom, that's your statement of intent done. Then underneath that, we start to have our organizational content. So we would have roles and responsibilities, which is kind of a policy, but with an org chart in it. We've got our manager here, manager here, manager here. These are their responsibilities. These are their health and safety responsibilities. And you detail that stuff in there as well, right? Boom, we've done all of that stuff. Great, so we've done our organizational context. Awesome, now we move on to arrangement. Here you can have policy. You could call them procedures. You can call them protocols. Frankly, I don't care, right? But the common term is policy. So you'll have an asbestos policy, a CDM policy, and that essentially says we understand our responsibilities. This is what we need to do. Section 1, paragraph 2, right? Then we're going to say this is how we do it. These are the people responsible for doing that. And that basically sets out how you arrange to manage your obligations under CDM. Your management system then files all of the things that evidence that you are actually doing that arrangement. In a nutshell, that is your health and safety policy and your management system. So why does it matter? Why does it matter to small business or big business? Is it different for a small business or a big business? Not really. Now, you're not really legally required to write anything down until you employ 5 or more people in the UK. That may be different around the world, but ultimately, I kind of think that doesn't matter. For me, you have to write a health and safety management system down when we're talking legally for a couple of reasons. One, and the most important reason is because should you have an accident and end up in court, you will have to prove that you have fulfilled your duties, because in the health and safety legislation, particularly in the UK, there's something called the reverse burden of proof. What this means is you as the organisation's responsible person, the director or CEO, you are guilty until proven innocent. It's reversed. So it's on you as the organisation to prove that you have fulfilled your duties. Now, should the HSE, the enforcer in the UK for health and safety, ever take you to court and you're in court, it's too late. The HSE are never going to take anyone to court unless they know they're going to win. So in that case, what you're doing is you're mitigating the damage. You're in damage control. The more correct and implemented arrangements that you can show will reduce your culpability in the sentencing process, therefore reducing your fine. And that is why this is really important when it comes to legal demonstration of duty fulfillment. There is also a proactive side of demonstrating. This is where you want to tender for things like big commercial contracts, or you want to get accreditations like SSIP. If you don't know what that is, we've done a video on here for you. When you go through those processes of tenders and SSIPs, accreditations, they will want to see your management system, your health and safety policies, and so on. So these documents give you the ability to be able to demonstrate to these accreditations that you're doing what you say you're doing or what you should be doing. But there's also one final thing to consider here. Why does it matter? Well, Because if you do a health and safety management system the way that Fluent would want you to do a health and safety management system, it becomes the guiding structure of your organization. If you think about it the right way, you think about it like, I'm going to do this to actually make us a better business. So I'm going to use this training matrix to pick the right people for the right job. Actually, I'm not going to have a training matrix. I'm going to have a competency matrix, which covers skills, knowledge, attitude, training, and experience. So then I can identify really quickly who's doing the job. And actually, once I've done that, me, the director, can now pass this on to somebody else in the organization, so I can get myself off of in the business and now working on the business, right? A health and safety management system is trying to do the exact same thing that you're paying a business coach to tell you to do for God knows how much thousands of pounds a month. Health and safety is essentially a really good business coach. It's asking you to make procedures for your operations. It's asking you to set standards and make goals clear. That's what your business coach is trying to do. So if you do a management system with the mindset of, I've got to do this because it's a legal requirement, I might as well do this in a way that helps me, it becomes so much more than a suite of paperwork that you just have to show should you end up in court. What are the common pitfalls that SMEs particularly, but not just SMEs, big businesses have these pitfalls as well? What are the pitfalls that people have when they're looking at health and safety management systems? The first one would be just using generic templates and documents. Everyone uses templates and everyone uses a document that it was generic at once, right? We always steal it from somewhere. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But when you don't bespoke it to fit your business, it just becomes a waste of paperwork. It's a problem waiting to happen. It won't defend you in court. It won't reduce that culpability I mentioned earlier. It will just be used in the prosecution to say, this company doesn't care about health and safety. They just use generic crappy templates. They've got the wrong legislation on them. Generic stuff doesn't help. Treating safety as something that you do once and it's a wham-bam, thank you ma'am, we've done safety, got the t-shirt, tick the top, tick the box, off we go. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. Yes, you do similar things every day, but ultimately the business changes, the place you're doing the work changes, the machines get older over time, you add a new shift on. These things are live management systems. The problem here, the biggest pitfall, is that you're thinking about it as a safety management system. You need to be thinking about it as a business management system. You flip that coin, it stops becoming clutter and starts becoming something that's really beneficial to your organization. And following on nicely, the other pitfall that I'd say every business has is that safety is 100% just treated as this little bolt-on thing. What you don't realize is that you're double handling everything. So if you're going to quote a job, you're quoting the job, you're risk assessing it, because you're going, yeah, look at that, I'm going to have scaffold for that. So then you get scaffold. That's a risk assessment. And then you're doing the quote, and that's kind of a method statement. And then you do all of that, then you win the job, and then you go, right, now I need to do some rounds. Come on, people, integrate it into your business. Tech as well, utilize tech when you're trying to do this stuff. Make a health and safety management system just part of your business. Like I just said, stop thinking about it as a safety management system, start thinking of it as an operational or even business management system. Okay, let's finish off here. How do you get started with this stuff? Well, first things first, practical roadmap would be do a gap analysis. Get someone to do a gap analysis, right? An audit to go through everything. This is how we would start in Fluent. We would just go through everything, every health and safety obligation, legislation, go through the whole lot, see what applies, what doesn't apply, and where the gaps are. Once you've done that, we'll start building those policies. Now you know what applies or where your gaps are, you can start building out these policies. The policies set your intent. At first, they're going to be relatively generic. That's fine. Once you've set those policies, right, as bespoke as you can do, you start with the highest risk ones. You start going through an implementation process. As you're going through this implementation process, you're going to keep updating and bespoking this policy. So you're going to set a policy that's going to say, this is how we're going to do this. Then you're going to implement that. And you're going to start doing what you say you're doing in the policy. And things will change in that process because you go, oh, we thought this was a good idea in the boardroom, but it doesn't quite make sense in reality. So we're going to tweak that to do it this way, update it in a policy. Rinse and repeat that on a 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 year cycle, depending on how many policies you've got, and boom, you've got yourself nice, consistent, implemented policies. Then as part of that, we've also got risk assessments to think about. Risk assessments are going to be part of the implementation. You've set a policy out which is going to say, we're going to risk assess this and we're going to manage whatever we come up with in the risk assessment. So risk assessments hopefully form part of that implementation. But I want you to think about risk assessments with a particular focus, right? Risk assessments are the first thing that anyone asks for should something go wrong. Your insurers, the court, the HSE, whatever. Risk assessments are, in the UK specifically, the most important thing to get right. And it's the thing that most people treat like it's just a tick box. Risk assessments will 100%, if they're done well, will stop things going wrong. They will make you have a better job. And ultimately, should you end up in court, they will reduce your fine. Once you've done that, we need to keep the team involved in this, right? So we want to get the team on top of this. Now, I want you to start obligating people within the organisation to manage some of these policies. This should not go through the director of the organisation. The director of the organisation is the worst person to be managing health and safety. However your project managers are, your ops managers, people like that who are managing operations, they are the best person to be owning probably nearly all of your health and safety, because it should be a core part of how you operate. Get those roles and responsibilities spot on, get them aligned to operation, train people up on what you expect. Even better, you have involved them in the implementation process anyway, but ultimately get them to own this. If this goes through the director, it just won't happen. Directors have got way too much on their plate. Get someone who is managing the operations to do it. If you're a one-man or woman kind of band, then that's fine. Own this, maybe get some help if you can, or get some help overall. Fluent, check it out. The next thing I'd think about is reducing clutter. We don't want to have any clutter in our process, right? So as you're going through, every now and then, I want you to have a bit of a spring clean. I want you to go back and read through these policies and your arrangements and look at how you're doing things. Do a little gap analysis, but look at it for things like duplication. Oh, we're doing this same thing over here for quality that we're doing over here for safety that we're doing over here for environment. Like, let's combine them into one. So look out for duplication. Duplication creates clutter. The next thing is look out for things that are too general, right? Too generic. If it's too generic, it's probably just cluttering up your system. Get rid of it or bespoke it. Also look out for things that are a little bit over the top. Sometimes when you're writing policies, it's really easy, or any form of safety documentation like risk assessments, really easy to over-specify. If you over-specify, it can become just clutter, because that's not how it's working in the real world. So make sure the stuff is not over the top, make sure it aligns to operations, or just get rid of it. So my last top tip, whenever you're implementing something, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. Now, shout out to David Provan and Drew Ray, who have done some great research on the work of safety and the safety of work. And the 3 tests that I've kind of taken out of their work are, ask yourself when you're going to implement something, how is this going to contribute? Once you answer that question, go, why am I confident this is going to work? And once you've answered that question, get a consensus on the 2 previous questions. If you can get a consensus on this is going to contribute, we're confident it's going to work, and when most of us agree, you can roll it out. If you don't have those 3, it's just clutter. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. If you were to implement a health and safety management system like we've just said, is it something that would make the business better, or is it still just red tape and we should get rid of it? I'm really interested to hear your opinions. Let us know in the comments below. If you'd like some help with this, go to riskfluentltd.com. We can do all of this for you. We will bring you along the process, but we'll take all of the unnecessary burden off of you, and we'll probably do it better and quicker. If you want to digitalize a few parts of this system, check out Risk Assessor Pro. You can download the app for free, or you can try the desktop version at riskassessor.net. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. I'll catch you in the next video. Safe.